Blended Podcasts. Brought to you by Blended Audio.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Sound Vibes. I am so tired. I am an ATE, and this is Patty McD. Say what's up, Patty.
Hey, what's up?
Well, you literally said what's up. What else am I going to expect on a lovely morning like this? Today, ladies and gentlemen, we are moving on the range of instruments. We've covered guitars. We covered a bit of vocals.
A little bit. Yeah.
My memory's
Hey, bro,
lost.
There's always more to cover. So
There's an infinite.
We've touched on vocals.
Like brushed the surface.
Yes.
Brushed the surface of vocals. And today we are looking at a little bit of the doof, bang, beat the drums.
What do we call it? Cook bucker and
I don't know what the slang is for it anymore.
Yeah.
Disrespect.
It's not your turn to speak.
What is this voice that hearkens from the corner?
So today we have a awesome guest in. We have Mr. Adrian Langeveld. Say hi.
Hello, everybody.
And he's going to be talking to us today about drums and everything drums. However, we are going to get started on who are you, what do you do, where are you from, how long have you been doing it for? Give us the down low, give us the squeeze.
Well, I've been doing this for too long.
Too long. Oh,
Too long. Well, I'm a Cape Town born and bred drummer who discovered the wonderful world of heavy metal at about age, say, 13, 14. After being a pianist and realizing that this is garbage and I want to be a rock star.
You wanted to hit things instead.
Exactly. Teenage angst.
Your fingers weren't good enough. You had to use sticks.
And then I didn't want to read music. I'm like, oh, drums. You don't need to read music for drums. Little did I know. That set me on a path of, wanting to play drums. And it's been probably 20 plus years of playing now. In various forms, mainly rock, mainly metal, and I've, it's the thing that keeps me sane. It really does, and I love it. And I've been privileged enough to play for quite some, veteran bands in the Cape Town scene.
Yeah, and some fairly high profile.
Yeah, definitely.
That's cool. I mean, currently it's Infanteria in the metal scene, but I've previously played for Sacrifice, which are like serious OGs of Cape Town metal. I've also
back in my day.
Yes, we didn't have double pedals. We had to make do with one. I've also played for Mark Hayes, which is a local rock pop artist, and that's kind of a lot of what I'm busy with at the moment. And Infanteria, and sometimes I'll session for other people who need it. See if somebody needs something in a pinch or a recording, or if my time allows, which is the biggest drain on resource because I am not a full-timer. I'm kind of semi-pro.
All right.
So my time is juggled between family, work, and then doing this on the weekends.
The bane of all of our existence.
I was just going to say.
Standard weekend warrior issues,
Yeah, I tell you, this hobbyist business is a killer, right? It's an absolute killer. But it must be done in
the
order
alternative is people would probably die in large numbers, right?
Yeah, that's the irony of it being a killer.
If you didn't do this, you'd be channeling your energy into something probably much more destructive.
Especially if you're a drummer, because I would assume naturally that there must be a lot of pent up,
Oh, hell yeah.
It is the best thing in the world to go in and just let off steam. If you're not sport inclined or anything like that, where you can go to a gym and hit a bag or do whatever, if that's not your thing. When it comes to music, it's another form of therapy, and drums is one of those great ones where you can sit there and you can go, you know what? I am going to beat this thing like a red-headed stepchild, and it can go absolutely nuts, and you feel good, and then if you can create something cool at the same time with other people.
Yeah, exactly.
Sure. Yeah. You brought out the redhead stepchild. That's something out of my playbook.
I'm kidding.
No.
But that's essentially it. I mean, and I'll continue doing this for hopefully as long as I'm physically able to.
Absolutely, that is awesome, man. I have to commend you on going semi-pro, because for a lot of us, it's very, very difficult to even manage just like. What would you call below semi-pro? Semi.
No, just yeah.
No,
So
it's really tough, because I mean, I've had some things where, even with Pat, being like, in a pinch when you need to help, then, you got to think about how much time do I have? Can I realistically manage it? And then you got to be honest and go, okay, if I do this, am I going to be able to do a proper job of it? Because you don't want to half bake the thing and then and you give it a horrible product, and you don't need that, because also having your reputation, I suppose, intact is a big thing. And and if you commit to stuff and you find that I can't really do this after you've made commitments or promises to people, that's not cool. So rather be honest about your capabilities, what you can handle, and how much time you have. That's a big part of it, because if you bite off too much, then that derails schedules for other people wanting to get things done.
And I think that's the thing we see actually a lot in band life in general, is you have a lot of people, they love the idea of getting involved in something cool, but when it comes to the crunch of what is actually required of them in order to see this through to its greatest potential,
and
so
drummers
that's the right
in Cape Town,
attitude to have.
everybody's going to be, you've seen those memes where looking around the corner and the cat's hiding behind the thing is like looking for a drummer in Cape Town that isn't already in 5 bands. And the drummer's hiding behind the wall, because that's literally what it is.
No, he's hunted.
Because I don't know how people manage it, but it happens so often.
Hold up. Now, this is very interesting that you bring up this meme, and this is actually a perfect segue. Thank you. I'm a novice. I'm absolutely, completely just I know nothing about the first thing about getting into drums. How much buck are you needing to spend in order to start out? Like, what do I need? The bare bones, the basics. How much is it going to cost me? Because I feel that the reason why we are in such a shortage of drummers is because it is more expensive to actually get started.
But I mean, that's a pretty loaded question as well, because it's not only just about the expenditure on equipment, but I think, so please add to this, the situation of where and how you can rehearse. So in terms of equipment...
That's a big issue. There's many ways to skin a cat. Not that I would ever skin a cat, but...
Well...
It depends, again, like Pat says, it depends on your situation, and it depends on what you want to achieve. So if you're starting out and going crazy with drums, there's no sense going to go get a handcrafted Japanese master to give you a set of whatever, drums that are made with wood from a 2,000-year-old tree, because it will cost you, as much as a small car. I'm not even kidding. You want a handcrafted, let's say a Tama, whatever those things, those maple ones that are handcrafted in Japan, that'll set you back 100,000 rand pretty easy.
At the very least.
And then you have to consider, I'm spending all this money on it, but then if you play it terribly, then maybe you should have spent the money on lessons or something. So having your goals in mind, you go, okay, right, I want to just start out. And you don't need a massive 80s style cage drum set like you play for Sabaton or something like that. You need a 4-piece drum set, and it doesn't have to be an expensive one. There's a myth around, I need to have this rad thing in order to sound great. No, it comes down to things like a guitarist, tone is in the fingers, and when you want to do things, having decent tuning, having a good ear. So you can get a piece of, there's so many things on YouTube where they go, I've got a $5,000 drum set and I've got a $500 drum set, and then they take the two and they put it in a studio and they just put some fresh heads on the cheap drum set and they tune it well and they're trying to get it to a decent level, and then the result is, that's actually pretty cool. And I can almost not tell the difference too much between the more expensive things. So you don't need to spend crazy money at first. They obviously, if it's for a specific purpose and you need, I need that particular thing, it'll cost you, but you can get away with maybe as a total starter kit as maybe 4,000 or 5,000 rand. It is quite an investment, but you have to consider over time that if you can, the enjoyment that you'll get out of that instrument. And then you can just get yourself some decent heads, get some tuning, and spend the time learning and playing, because the enjoyment of it is what matters most.
Yeah.
Less about the sort of, I've got this wonderful instrument, but if you're not enjoying it, and it's, you're going to feel like that money's wasted.
But wouldn't you say drums are actually a wonderful example of a musical instrument that is, what's the word to use, like scalable?
It is extremely scalable. You can add, you can take away, you can change things. It's not like you have a piano. There's nothing you can really do. With once you have a piano, it's a piano.
Yeah.
And you'll see those videos online where some kid is busy playing in Brazil on like a bunch of buckets and is going crazy samba with whatever. And it's like, well, there you go.
Yeah.
You're managing to do whatever you need to do.
That's what I was saying. Maybe one could go into mom's kitchen and like see what cookbook are in the
that's how kids
cupboard
start
and
out,
hit
right?
on
You
pans
see the things hitting stuff. So you can lay out a couple of $1,000. You can obviously look for deals and find things, and you just need a small bit to start out. Once you get better, then you can look at expanding and scaling piece by piece. The other option then like you said, the question's kind of loaded. So you go, okay, right, if I've got an acoustic drum set, now where do I rehearse? Where do I practice? Are you in a flat?
Yeah, then just don't buy the acoustic kit, period.
Exactly. So then you have to consider something like an E-kit. So, if your acoustic is not at a rehearsal
Sorry, just
space,
terminology-wise, E-kit meaning obviously an electronic kit.
Kit, yes. And there, the cost is a little bit more prohibitive because you're paying for the technology, you're paying for the convenience and the silence. Whereas you can then go, okay, cool, pop the headphones on, you don't bother anybody. As with everything else, the ranges vary and the costs vary. So again, a couple of R1,000, you can get like a basic, very entry-level kit which sounds like a Nintendo, like from, literally it sounds like you 8-bit drums. But you can sit and you can enjoy it, you can learn the mechanics, especially if you're starting out and you're learning, and you can do that. The other beauty of that thing, if you get a decent enough one, there's your recording vehicle right there. You don't have to go to a studio because people don't really have massive budgets to go in and sit with Theo Kraus for a whole day and cost you $10,000 or whatever it is.
Dude, we are literally going to pin you down for an episode on just that.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, and then you can do your home stuff, and then you can bedroom produce, and then you got your headphones on. It's great. You can learn. So it's not necessary to go crazy, but I mean anywhere between sort of 4,000 and 6,000 rand as a start to get a very basic setup, I would say.
So I got a question for you. Let's say, all right, I ain't no drummer, but what if I wanted to be? Now, all right, so I'm willing to make that initial investment on a 4-piece is unlikely in a normal South African retail environment, or am I lying? Like a 5-piece is pretty much the stock standard. Kick drum.
No, you can get a 4-piece. You can get a tiny little kit, which
the little Baba kits.
Yeah, well, not like the ones that they use on which talk show host is it, Letterman or Conan or whatever it is, Questlove. Those dudes, they got the breakbeats kit, like the Roots, them. So they've got those little breakbeats kits, which are quite small and compact. Yeah. And it comes in a 3-piece configurable kick, snare, 4-piece kick, snare, and tom one, and then you get like the hats and the cymbal and a ride, and then that's it. It's quite a small configuration that you can then easily move around. Okay. And that's the standard, and that you can start out with that.
All right. So the question I wanted to tag onto that is, all right, so let's say I'm willing to make that investment and I buy this thing, and maybe I do live in, I mean, let's face it, in this day and age, who doesn't live in a flat or have neighbors really close by, like a townhouse or something like that? Very few people in our current society really have that kind of space and privacy. So I saw a while ago these skins that are made of like a wire mesh. Are you familiar with those things?
Yes.
Well, they don't look too unlike what you actually have on some upper-end electronic kits.
There's two parts to this. So you can get your acoustic kit. Okay, so for instance, you get like because full disclosure, I'm a Mapex endorsee, and I love Mapex. And
cool. Plug away, dude. Plug away.
They have like an entry-level kit, like a Prodigy or a Storm, which doesn't cost you that much. Great for kids to get started out, or somebody just starting out. So now you've got this kit. It comes in a 4 or 5-piece configuration, and then you can get a nice rubber padding which you put over the top, and that helps obviously deaden the sound. So depending on your, how lenient your neighbors may be. That's one way of getting around it, and you can get mutes for the cymbals so that you are at least getting the practice in without getting it, or you can get those cymbals which look like they've been full of holes,
perforated.
Yes, yeah, it looks like a mesh,
Yes.
and those are designed to obviously keep volume down, low volume cymbals. The other option is then replacing your heads with, like you said, the high-end E-kits. They've got the mesh. It's made out of Kevlar, actually.
Okay.
Bulletproof vest material, because I mean that stuff takes abuse, but it's
Absolutely. Yeah.
what happens is you can use that, and then the mesh is virtually silent. So you can replace with those. It's an investment, but again, if it means that you won't get evicted, it's maybe worth it. So
because I mean that to my mind would seem like a viable thing. Someone who really wants to take up drums, like really wants to, they feel the angst, they need to hit something.
it is a great way to do it, and at least that way, you can. I'm just trying to think of how I normally, when people ask me this particular thing, is what do I do? I live in an apartment. I always say go for the E-kit option, but I tend to kind of almost forget about the acoustic option and converting it like that. That is definitely a plus. It just depends on your preference, really, and because if you know that you want to take that kit and go out and gig with that kit, then
then you
faced
need
with a
to
situation where
then you need to go and put all your old skins back on.
Well, it's part of the labor.
But
I
I
mean, it's like
suppose-
changing guitar strings, really.
You wouldn't really gig with an electronic kit, would you?
I gig with electronic kit almost every day, dude.
Oh wow, really? I had no idea.
Well, no, because I've got a higher end Roland kit,
Okay.
so I've tweaked all my sounds. I've tracked the Infanteria albums with that kit. I've tracked Mark's album with that kit. It's much more convenient, and I'll explain the sort of full deal why. But I gig with it all the time. The sound is balanced. On stage, there's no noise. Because everybody's direct, like Meshuggah do it. So everybody goes straight into their processor and then out into the PA, and then everyone will get their in-ear feed. So on stage, it's like watching those videos of the Prodigy where the sound's off and you hear them going. You just hear the feet shuffling and stuff. That's what it's like on stage. So there's minimal on-stage noise. There's no bleed from cymbals into mics and other stuff, so that front of house engineer can control things so much more easily.
But I mean, there we're talking about a super high-end solution to a super complex.
Yes, true. But in that case, you can gig with it. I do all the time. On last night's show, I play with that because it's compact. So literally, it's my kit in a box. I pack it up, go in. I just need a power source.
Lekker.
That is awesome.
So you can gig with both. You can get conversions even where you have electronic heads which have like a trigger input which you can put on your acoustic set.
I've checked
and
that
then
too.
you convert your acoustic set to an electric one. So you have options.
So
Technology.
dude, drums. There's actually so many choices a person can make. But I suppose it's been such a challenging instrument in this context for like so long that like people must be dreaming up ideas all the time of how to get this right. So it really comes down to a question, I suppose, of what you're willing and able to spend.
It is.
To how elegant the solution is that you can.
That's
can,
just
come
it.
up
So
with.
you can find, for probably most situations, some form of solution. Obviously, some are better than others, but again, it depends on your means. So there is pretty much something to cover everybody. In this case.
All right, Well, I suppose that's pretty encouraging for like someone who's like keen on this, because like I think for a lot of people who don't know much about drums but have a enthusiasm for it, they, like it's for all of us. We all got bitten by the bug by attending a show. And then they see this and it's like, wow, that looks amazing, but it's like it's really loud. So they might not know all the ins and outs. I mean, I suppose with the internet these days, they can learn these things easily, but they don't always get the sort of first-hand insight covering the full range. Like I've noticed a lot of the stuff I learn on YouTube and stuff, it's like I have to search for a pretty specific question to get a very specific answer.
Yeah, but that's just the internet, Pat.
Well, it's when I consider the other thing with this sort of situation, it also depends on what you want to achieve. So, for instance, with getting more work, right, where inevitably more in the rock arena when I'm doing that stuff, or the pop rock type stuff, especially with Mark, when you're wanting to go get more work, where you're having to approach corporates and you're doing the other stuff because that's where the money is, as we all know. there, for instance, if you go to a hotel, right, and the hotel manager comes over and says, wow, the drums are so loud, can we not turn it down, we have guests in the hotel. When you're sitting with an acoustic situation, it's very tough to now try and make that compromise of keeping the client happy, and then also then the customers and then the other guests. Now, when we in a situation with, say, an e-kit, okay, and I love both equally. I absolutely love it. Just some things are more convenient for certain situations. I just go, okay, cool, I'll turn the volume down, and then everything is brought down to a comfortable level. Everybody can still hear, and it's great for everybody else. It's not an issue. Say for someone like, case in point, Andries, with protecting his hearing. Right?
Yeah.
You know, he obviously has to take very good care of it. And now when you're on an e-kit, you can lower the volume, everything else, and you can preserve your hearing. You know, 'cause cymbals, I love them, but they are brutal when you've been playing in small rooms with, you know.
I think I've literally lost hearing, not completely, but a degraded hearing in my right-hand ear, because in the rehearsal room, I always was right next to Andries's crash cymbal. And I mean, like 15 years of playing in that band with that, it's like, it takes its toll.
Yeah.
For those of you who don't know, Andries is Patrick's drummer. Oh dear.
So it's but there's nothing like that feeling of obviously going to an acoustic kit and just absolutely hammering the thing like live. And like I said, I switch between both. Both have pros and cons and solutions that work depending on my musical situation.
So
well, I think it's like with someone wanting to start out, that's like big inhibiting factors, obviously cost and how do I do this that I'm not going to irritate or like frustrate people around me. Something else I was thinking of is if a person wants to get into percussion or like drums, percussion, like what's the viability of starting out with something like like I've seen people have these little mats, these rubber mats that they play on the tabletop to like get like their rhythm in their hands. Like, is that not really like a path to playing, or is that something you get more as a supplementary tool once you're already playing?
You have people who are full on just percussionists, so where it's not drum set, but you've got other stuff included, which is like your congas and then your timbales and all the Latin type stuff. And then those are people who are then supplement. You can go and do like a big band thing, and then those are avenues you can take where it's a bit less privative, but there's a lot of stuff to get. So you got to go get shakers, then you got to go get a vibra slap, and you got to have all these sort of little things around. But we've done work with percussionists, with people who are just, that's what they do. Like a Gloria Estefan type of thing. Can you imagine that sort of whole vibe going off? You can learn that without needing to actually go anywhere near a drum set. So that can get you into it, and you can start out that way,
sort of establishing your feeling for rhythm and patterns,
because that stuff is
like that.
really, that's proper. it's what's that's high, not high grade, but it's you got to really understand the music and know what you're adding to it. You can't just randomly do stuff. It's got to work within the context of the music. So that's a great way to start, and it's another avenue within drums.
So you could start off in like a marching band or something, just playing a snare.
I know people who do that.
Case in point.
So do I.
What's that band called? Unearth, right?
Yeah.
Love Unearth. Nick Pierce, their drummer, madness, totally insane. Plays traditional grip, like blasting, and you're like, whoa, marching band background, dude. Because obviously, considering in like American schools and stuff, and all those crazy gospel drummers, half of them start in the marching band, and it's so all that stuff
where they
comes
actually
from,
have to focus all of their energies on one surface, because they're playing a single drum. So
really traditional grip blasting.
But think about it.
I will show you videos, and you'll be looking at this going like, what is going on here?
But like, think about the hand technique. If you only have one surface to play on, think about.
You have to be very creative.
And like the mental development. Picture trying to learn guitar on a one-stringed guitar. Like, that's going to bring a whole new level of challenge.
Oh, it's like watching The Who, where they play those. They've got those bass players, like they've got just a two-string bass thing. So you got to work with what you have. But it's a great way to get into it, and then have other avenues and say, I'm not just a drummer, but I also can do percussion, and then that changes your potential musical situation or your options.
So. Well, I think let us focus our energies on another episode talking about the dynamics and diversity of what someone can do as a drummer stroke percussionist. Like, if you choose drums, does it mean you're confined to just a standard thing? Clearly not.
Absolutely.
So
not, no.
let's unpack that in detail in the next episode.
You're screwed now. We're gonna have you.
Yeah.
We're just gonna keep having you now.
Yeah. It's the same thing Robin said in our last series.
It's
Help.
it's like being a drummer. Like, I've got this drummer here, quick, before he gets away.
Yeah. Yes.
It's Stockholm syndrome, so that he won't go away, and then
It must be the confined space.
Yeah.
It must be. But anyway, it doesn't matter.
That's in good company. I'm happy to hang out.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for joining us. And that's been Adrian Langeveld. We will probably continue drum stories for the next, I don't know how many episodes, because I'm interested.
As many as we can get out of him.
Calm down.
Typical frontmen in bands. They want to milk their drummers for everything they can.
Yep.
Oh,
In for a penny, in for a pound.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much, everybody.
yeah, thank you guys so much for listening. Please check out Blended Podcasts on all social media handles. And you can listen to Sound Vibes wherever all podcasts are available. Thank you so much, and we will catch you guys on the next one.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Thank you so much for listening to us ramble on about all things music and sound here on Sound Vibes, produced with the generous assistance of Blended Podcasts, brought to you by Blended Audio.